The story begins with a vivid scene of a city engulfed in flames, narrated by a man reflecting on the day the world fell apart. It all started with a pandemic, eerily reminiscent of real-life events that spiraled into chaos. Wars erupted, the economy crumbled, food became scarce, and society collapsed under the weight of catastrophe. Yet the true harbinger of humanity's end wasn't the people themselves, but something far more sinister. Being straight out of a fantasy game, monsters, predictably, as the world unraveled, individuals with extraordinary powers, metahumans, emerged just as one might expect in tales of apocalyptic survival. However, there was something different between the novels and reality. The metahumans were way too damn weak to even fight back against the monsters. It jumps to 3 days later in our story, as a man is digging into his bag of chips, saying yes, the world has not completely ended because he is still living just like a normal dude, being a chill guy. The man starts chugging his drink and then finishes it, saying that the only difference is that now he is all alone. He is the only one living in this apartment of 100 square meters, and his eyes look depressed. He says that his mom, dad, and grandpa are all outside, and his father ultimately decided to buy this place. It was bought by borrowing a total of 200 million won from the bank and all of his family's assets, which total to another 200 million. The reason he is staying here, despite not being born wealthy, is because someone needs to live here for 2 years before they can enjoy the tax benefits from buying it. That's why he's been living in such a place and has been locked in here after the sudden apocalypse. We see him frantically going through his phone, making a very nervous expression, since he is still getting no service on his phone. He sighs, and then we hear a giant animal screeching. He looks up, confused, only to see it flying directly at him. As it gets closer, we see some straight nightmare fuel as it causes him to fall to the ground because he got jump scared. As the creature starts to get closer to the window, the man starts screaming as loud as he can. Then we hear it thud against some kind of wall, and the man slowly opens his eyes, wondering what's going on. He sees a giant blue screen that says, "A subject who has not been permitted entry is trying to enter." We see he has an ability called the Ultimate Shut-in House Declaration, which is a passive skill that means nobody can enter the house without his permission. He sighs in relief and then stands up, saying, "That's right. The reason he survived up until now is solely due to this ability." He tries everything, swinging at the door, kicking it as hard as he can, but it just won't open. It's been 3 days since the world ended, and this damn ability is the only thing keeping him alive. But it's also the reason he's trapped inside this apartment. He sits quietly in the night, alone, staring at the system window flashing in front of him. It says that the ultimate shut-in cannot leave the house. Of course, this pisses him off. He's been dragged into this mess, and now he's being given some fucked up title as if it's like most glorified shit to have. He feels powerless, having no control over his situation. His biggest problem has started to surface now, which is his food supplies. The electricity has been cut off since yesterday, and he's been surviving on side dishes from the fridge. But those won't last much longer, and all he has left are a few packets of ramyeon. Right at that moment, his system window pings with a notification telling him that he has hunted a Calican and earned a significant amount of EXP in the process. His skill level has also increased because of that. The guy is completely bewildered to hear this. He looks outside and sees the monster's lifeless body lying on the ground, only to realize that now it's the monster being eaten alive by those damn goblins. It's hard for him to swallow that he literally hunted the monster in self-defense without even realizing it. Meanwhile, the system is notifying him that he's gained a new skill and that a nearby loot has met the requirements, and it's now calculating the loot. Just then, he hears a bunch of nasty roars. He looks down and sees the goblins going absolutely crazy after devouring the monster's flesh. It seems like the food they were partying on is starting to disappear, and the goblins are pissed to see it slipping away from their grasp. The reason the body is disappearing is tied to the system. The system then states that the loot calculation is complete, and our protagonist has received around 2.2 million won. Right at that moment, the lights in the room flicker on, meaning the electricity has been suddenly restored. The system then displays more information, revealing a new skill called House Declaration, currently at level 3. It's a passive skill, and no one can enter the house without the ruler's permission. Another passive skill appears, Dignity Preservation, at level 1. To preserve his dignity, half of the house's functions will be restored. The system also shows that his wallet level is maxed out, and the money he has now totals around 2.2 million won. The shut-in can barely contain his happiness when he sees the power come back on. He rushes to the fridge to confirm, opens it, and it's running. Not only that, there's water in the taps now, and the electric stove is working too. Excitement bubbles up inside him, and he lets his emotions loose. literally crying tears of happiness to see everything reverting to how it was before the world ended. But with a pinch of salt, he grabs his phone to check if the network is back. To his dismay, the network is still down. He's obviously disappointed to see that he still can't connect with the outside world. But right at that moment, his eyes catch a pen drive on the ground. He picks it up, plugs it into his PC, and when he plays the files, he finds memories his parents recorded. It's a collection of moments from his childhood and the journey of his life, showing how he grew up step by step. This hits the shut-in hard as all these memories make his heart go numb. He wants nothing more than to see his family again, and he vows to bring them here, no matter what. He stands up, his resolve steeled, but before he can get too caught up in his righteous thoughts, a system window grabs his attention. It tells him that he can now buy items listed in the store at original prices. This is something completely new, and the shut-in is left stunned for a moment since he was not expecting this at all. Curious, he presses the store icon. The system window pops up, showing him the money he has and the option to list items. Since the system is displaying how much money he has, it seems to be linked to his wallet. Anyhow, he decides not to dwell on the situation too much, so he opens his balcony window. Before he can step outside, the system stops him with a warning. He still cannot leave the house. Well, he expected that. Even though his skill level has gone up a bit, he's still trapped. One thing is clear though. If he hunts monsters, his level will increase, and he'll likely unlock new skills. Maybe one of those skills will let him go outside. The problem is that he has no idea how to kill monsters in his current state. Situations like the one with the Calican aren't exactly something he can count on happening again. But that is when an idea takes place in his mind. He might be able to take out some goblins. So he grabs a water bottle from the fridge and, with a quick swing, he throws it as hard as he can. The bottle goes flying out of the apartment. This momentarily makes him happy, because initially he was worried that he might not even be able to throw objects outside. He then decides to take it a step further. He grabs a dumbbell and heads to the balcony. As he steps out, he notices something unusual. The goblins are there, but they seem to be moving away from the area, dragging chunks of meat from the dead monsters. They're basically retreating. This makes the shut-in anxious, seeing his last chance slip away. Without thinking, he hurriedly swings his hand as fast as he can and throws the dumbbell out. But instead of hitting a goblin, it lands on the dead monster's body, and in return, it catches the attention of the furious goblins. His heart races in fear as he realizes they've spotted him. Now, he's sweating bullets, absolutely terrified. He still has one dumbbell left, but he doesn't want to waste it by throwing it out again. But the problem is, he doesn't have anything else in the house that could help him kill these monsters. And he sure as hell isn't strong enough to throw a TV or computer out the window. He watches the goblins getting more furious, completely bamboozled by this bastard who's been throwing stuff at them. Seeing them so riled up has the shut-in sweating his balls, realizing that the goblins are now ready to tear him apart. They charge toward the building. But strangely enough, this situation isn't all that bad. In fact, it's exactly what he wanted. The goblins are coming closer, and now he can hit them without missing. This is his chance. He suddenly remembers the store option he had gotten earlier. He quickly activates his system panel, opening the store, and then presses the list item option. The system asks if he intends to list the dumbbell, and he agrees. The moment he does, the system scans the dumbbell, and he's unlocked the dumbbell in the store. He can now buy more for around 17,001. The shut-in is quite surprised to realize that the price listed is exactly what he paid for the dumbbell online, which makes him believe that the market rates here are the same as before the world ended. So he ends up buying 2 of these. Once the transaction is complete, the system window flashes with this blue light, and the dumbbell starts to materialize. This leaves our boy absolutely glowing with happiness. His joyous screams even leak outside of his apartment. The next moment, he throws the dumbbell as hard as he can, and bam! It smashes into this green bastard's head, taking him out for good. In the process, my guy earns some EXP and around 3,001 as well, which is promptly deposited into his wallet. He's thrilled to see the reward, while the goblins below are left panicked and bewildered, staring at their fallen comrade. Before they can finish paying their respects, though, they notice another dumbbell flying straight toward them. All of the goblins scatter and scramble to save themselves, so the dumbbell hits nothing. Shut-in is absolutely annoyed for missing the shot, so naturally he spends even more money and buys 3 more dumbbells. He throws them right away, and this time he takes down one of the goblins. The system quickly notifies him that he's just taken down a level 6 goblin. As usual, he's earned some cash, but most importantly, his skill level has increased, and he's unlocked a brand new ability. Turns out, he's gained access to an alternate dimension where he can store items. Excited, he commands the system to open the storage. When it does, the system asks if he wants to place the dumbbell inside. Without hesitation, he agrees. The dumbbell begins to pixelate, and a system window pops up, confirming that he's successfully stored a non-slip 3 kilos dumbbell. Then, the system asks if he'd like to summon an item from storage. His face lights up with joy as he eagerly says yes. The dumbbell instantly materializes in his hand, leaving him thrilled at the realization that he can now summon items from storage to any place he wants. With the dumbbell back in hand, this bastard grins with this wicked smile because he could barely contain his intrusive thoughts he is having, already imagining all the possibilities this new skill offers. So, he decides it's time to execute his ultimate plan. He takes his sweet time buying dumbbells and storing them all. Once he's done, he commands the storage to open, and with a single command, a bunch of dumbbells appear, as if he's holding the key to the gates of Babylon. He lets them rain down like he's Gilgamesh himself. The goblins can do nothing but watch in awe as the massive number of dumbbells falls toward them. Some of them are absolutely terrified, and as soon as the dumbbells start to hit, he starts claiming all the experience points as the goblins drop dead one by one. In total, he earns just over 54,001 from this one swing. The system then asks if he would like to list additional items, and my guy quickly says yes. Since the max amount of items he can list in the store is 10, he lists around 10 items, including groceries and anything else necessary. He even sells the dumbbell he used to defeat the goblins and gets his money back. But suddenly, he notices something peculiar. Apparently, he's just lost 1-1. He thinks for a moment about what might have caused it, and then it clicks in his mind. It's probably because the refrigerator is on, and the electric, gas, and water bills must be eating into his money. This news is pretty concerning for him because he doesn't have any way to make more money to cover his household expenses. You see, after he hunted the goblins by dropping dumbbells on them, those stinky cowards ran away and abandoned their old home. Since then, he's only managed to kill 2 more goblins, and he's not sure if there are any other creatures left in the area to hunt. When he looks below, all he sees is the rotten head of a dead monster. Shut-In knows that if he doesn't find something to hunt soon, he's screwed. So he has to figure something out, no matter what. He stares up at the sky with his dejected face, hoping to spot a flying monster he can hunt. And it looks like luck is on his side, because he suddenly spots a giant monster gliding straight through the skies. Shut-In is momentarily shocked, but he doesn't want to waste the opportunity that fate has handed him. He quickly rushes to prepare for the hunt. He ties a big spoon to a ladder and extends it over the balcony, since he can't step outside the boundaries. Then, he starts flashing the shiny spoon to grab the monster's attention. Not surprisingly, the monster finally notices the shine coming from the building, and as soon as it locks its eyes on him, it charges straight toward Shut-In to try and eat him alive. Shut-In is pretty pleased to see he successfully baited this dumb monster, and when it collides with the barrier, its head bounces back. Shut-In is confident this is a done deal, and Level Up is on his way. But just then, the monster starts flapping its wings violently, sending powerful gusts of air at Shut-In. The air pressure from the monster's wings is so intense that Shut-In can barely stand, constantly getting pushed back. Eventually, the monster vanishes from sight. But when our boy peeks through the balcony, he's shocked to see the creature sitting right outside his window. The creepy thing roars at him with its mouth wide open, its twisted tongue dangling around, saliva dripping as it eyes our boy like a tasty snack. Shut-In, on the other hand, is too terrified to move. The monster then shuts its mouth and slams its hard beak into the barrier. The system flashes a warning right away, warning that an unauthorized entity is attempting to enter. But no matter how much force the monster exerts, it can't break through. Each impact seems useless, yet the sheer strength of its attacks leaves Shut-In bewildered, and he is doubting if this barrier can actually withstand it. He doesn't want to take any chances. So he quickly opens his store and checks out all the listed items he can buy. From what he's observed so far, the loot calculator only activates when a corpse is nearby. And his goblin hunts haven't always been successful because of this very reason. Some survivors had taken the corpses of their fallen allies away, and those corpses weren't calculated as loot. In other words, if the distance between the body and the player exceeded a certain limit, the loot calculator wouldn't activate. Shut-In doesn't want that to happen, so he wants to figure out if there's a way to take down the monster in one shot. That's when he notices the 900 milliliter bottles of canola oil stacked in his store. Without wasting any time, he quickly buys 10 of those bottles. As soon as the transaction is complete, all 10 bottles appear right at his feet. He grabs them all, then places a pan on the stove. He pours all the oil into the pan and turns on the heat. Next, he grabs his broomstick and wraps a bunch of disposable paper around it, taping it securely. He soaks the paper with oil, then opens his store again and lists the boiling hot canola oil. The system successfully announces that the boiling hot oil has been listed. After that, he grabs the lighter and gets ready to torch the soaked paper. The paper quickly catches fire, and when he walks to the window, we see that the monster is still perched on top of his apartment, waiting for its prey to come outside. Little does the monster know, its prey is actually the predator, and the monster is about to learn that the hard way. Shut-In quickly summons the canola oil, and all of the boiling hot oil pours right over the monster's head as soon as the system window activates. The oil splashes down on it, and the monster starts screaming in agony, which is quite understandable. But the pain doesn't end there, because Shut-in is ready to turn up the heat, figuratively and literally. As soon as the fire touches the oil-soaked monster, it ignites instantly. The monster's deafening screams of agony are like music to our boy's ears, a victory whistle he can almost hear. Eventually, the monster begins to collapse to the ground, and the sight of it getting cooked alive is so horrible that Shut-in's face momentarily sours. As soon as the monster hits the ground, its misery comes to an end. The system window pops up, congratulating Shut-in for successfully defeating a Calican. He's awarded a massive amount of EXP, his skill level increases, and he even unlocks a new skill. But that's not all. The system also detects the hunted monster and registers it as loot. Once the loot calculation is complete, he receives a reward of just over 9 million won. Shut-in goes bonkers to see such a massive amount of money. He can hardly believe his eyes. But before he can fully recover from the shock, another notification pops up, which reveals that the requirements have been met, and territory expansion is now underway. Suddenly, the entire building starts shaking like crazy, or at least this is what Shut-in is feeling. He also feels a strange sensation gripping his heart, and his perspective begins to expand. This strange feeling intensifies, making his heart ache even more while his senses continue to grow and grow. At one point, he literally starts seeing into the other apartments in the building, where he finds a surviving family in there, which completely bewilders him. He'd never thought there were neighbors living here besides him. His eyes suddenly change color, and he has no idea what's happening to him. For some reason, he can see people now, but he doesn't understand why. Just as suddenly, he recovers and starts observing things around him as he normally does. Then, the system introduces these unexpected neighbors. The first adult is Choi Hyung-jun, a husband in his late 30s. The second adult is Park Hae-won, his wife, also in her late 30s. Together, they have two daughters, Choi Na-yeon, their 6-year-old firstborn, and Choi Se-yeon, their 3-year-old second child. The system goes on to state that these individuals meet the requirements to be taken in as citizens of his territory. It asks him if he would like to grant them citizenship. Shut-in is obviously not sure if he should grant him citizenship or what would happen if he didn't grant them. The system immediately answers that any beings not granted citizenship will be expelled from the house and left vulnerable to monster attacks. Faced with this stark reality, Shut-in decides to take the high road. Instead of being a selfish Shut-in, he chooses to be a generous landlord. Once the command is given, the system announces that Choi Hyung-jun, Park Hae-won, Choi Na-yeon, and Choi Se-yeon have all been granted citizenship. Shut-in feels pretty great about this, because he might have unlocked other skills related to citizenship too. So he decides to check. That's when the system announces his new skill, which is known as Ultimate Eyes. But Shut-in isn't fully satisfied yet, so he tries to scan the system to see if there's anything else related to citizenship. The system flashes a new notification regarding skill, which is known as Ruler's Declaration, a passive skill. This skill ensures that no one can enter the house without the ruler's permission. There's also an icon called Citizenship Management. Shut-in quickly decides to explore it because this is exactly what he was looking for. When he opens it, he sees that all 4 citizens are listed, along with their power levels and trust levels. But the detail that stands out to him is that he can hold up to 600 citizens. 600 is no small number, it's pretty staggering. He presses on one of the citizens' names and sees all the information about them. There's even data on their experience distribution rate and money distribution rate. He's also given 2 options. He can assign a quest to this citizen or expel them from his territory. He has no idea what the experience and money distribution rate are all about, but he guesses it might refer to how much experience and money the citizens share with him, and the fact that he can control the rate. Well, this sounds like a cheat code to him as he is the one to decide how much money he wants. He then notices the quest option and wonders how it works. Out of curiosity, he presses the button. A new screen pops up, allowing him to customize the quest description, deadline, reward, and even the penalty for failure. Without much thought, he quickly assigns Choi Hyung-jun a simple task: kill 1 goblin within 168 hours. The reward? A small amount of experience. The penalty? Nothing, at least for now. The system prompts him to confirm the quest. But before pressing yes, Shut-in starts wondering just how far he can push the penalties. To test it, he changes the penalty to death upon failure. To his shock, the system accepts the prompt without hesitation. He doesn't confirm the quest though, and the system cancels his request automatically. There's no way he'd actually kill someone over failing a quest. He is quite troubled to see this actually. The idea that he has the power to kill any citizen at any time, just with a penalty, makes him deeply uneasy. He starts thinking about what he should do now, and that's when he uses one of his newly acquired skills, the Ultimate Eyes. His perspective begins to broaden, and he can literally see everything. Once again, he spots the family down there. The family seems troubled, and the wife asks her husband what they're supposed to do now. The husband, Hyungjin, has no clue what they're supposed to do. The least he can do is go out and fetch some water, so he tells her to stay here with the kids and wait for him. But his doting wife, Haiwan, isn't on board with that idea since the area outside is crawling with monsters. Hyungjin knows this too, but he doesn't really have another choice. His wife then points out that he might not even find water, but he reminds her there's a convenience store nearby, and since it's a pretty big one, so there should be something there. The thirsty kids start begging their father for some water, which only makes Hyungjin feel even more pressured to go outside. Finally, he decides he has no choice but to venture out and get what his family needs the most. He tells his wife to trust him, promising he'll come back soon. Since Hyewon doesn't have a better option, she lowers her head and lets him go, though it's clear she's terrified. At that exact moment, my guy shuts off his skill, and suddenly, we're snapped back to his apartment. Our shut-in didn't realize just until now how bad things had gotten out there. He opens his store interface in order to see if he can increase the store storage. When he activates his window skill, he notices that all 3 storage-related skills are still at level 1. But the good news is, they can be upgraded with just single points, and he currently has 3. This realization makes him happy as hell. The system prompts him, asking if he wants to increase the level of the ultimate shut-in store skill. Without a second of hesitation, my guy chooses yes. The system window lights up with a glowing blue light, and once the upgrade is complete, the system announces that the store is now at level 2. The number of items he can list has been increased to 20. As a bonus, a 10% discount has also been applied to the prices of all items. After the upgrade, he realizes he still has 2 points left. After thinking it through, he decides to invest them into the store and the dignity preservation skill, since there's a chance he might encounter more citizens from now on. Eventually, he ends up leveling up his store again. Once it hits level 3, the number of items he can list jumps to 40, and he unlocks a new feature, the ability to restore items. It's basically a function that can turn old, worn-out items back into new ones. It doesn't sound half bad, and honestly, my guy is thrilled he pushed the storage level to 3. Without wasting time, he opens the store and purchases some Samdesu water and Jeju tangerines. He then decides to upgrade his other skills too. The system prompts him, asking if he wants to increase the level of the ultimate shut-in's dignity preservation skill. Of course, he says yes without hesitation. My guy has a clear plan in mind. If he provides essentials like electricity and water to his neighbors, he can request all sorts of things in return. With the dignity preservation skill now at level 2, he unlocks a new feature, the ability to register vassals, though Shut-In has no clue what that even means. Meanwhile, Hyungjun is ready to leave his house in order to provide for his family. Haiwon could barely stand to watch her husband leave them behind like this, but the man reassures their little girls that he'll be back shortly. He encourages them to be brave and protect the house while he's gone. The girls, though, are visibly terrified. They don't want their father to leave, their small voices trembling as they beg him to stay. Hyungjun then gives each of them a gentle pat on the head and promises he'll bring back food and water for everyone. He tells them to listen to their mother while he's away. But then, one of the girls reaches her breaking point. Tears start streaming down her face as she reminds him about the monsters outside. The scene transitions to the recent past, a moment frozen in time, back when the two girls were happily playing together in the park, as if the world wasn't on the verge of collapse. But then everything changes. Chaos erupts as goblins suddenly flood the streets. The girls freeze, the joy on their faces replaced by sheer terror. They bolt from the playground as fast as their little legs can carry them. The older sister instinctively grabs her younger sister's hand, pulling her along as they run for their lives. But just then, their father grabs the older girl, while the mother grabs the younger one, and the entire family runs for their lives. As the father recalls the terror from the past, he hesitates before stepping outside. He doesn't want to leave his girls behind, especially since this could be the last time he sees them if he steps out. But he has no choice. A man's gotta do what a man's gotta do. Just then, the doorknob starts rattling, taking everyone by surprise. Hyungjun cautiously walks toward the gate while gripping a golf club in his hand. The rattling on the door suddenly stops, but the silence is broken when a voice from the other side asks him to open the door. The voice of another human from behind the gate terrifies Hyungjun even more. He struggles to believe that there's actually a person behind the door, but it could also be a monster, so he doesn't want to take any risks. Our boy on the other side of the door keeps calling out, while the man inside takes his stance. But then, the voices stop again, and the silence makes him believe that whoever was there has left. Out of nowhere, the front gate swings open, and the blinding light that pours through forces him to quickly pull his family in close, instinctively protecting them. But of course there's nothing to worry about, it's just our boy standing there with a plastic bag full of supplies. Hyungjin questions his identity, and Shut-in introduces himself as Kim Jae-hyun, from next door. He explains that he has some water and tangerines, and after they eat and drink, he'd love to sit down and talk for a bit. We finally know our protagonist's name, so from this point onward, we will use his real name instead of that Shut-in title he got. Hyungjin is surprised for a moment. Now that he thinks about it, his family desperately needs water and food, so he doesn't see any reason to refuse the help. He got a nagging feeling that this boy might actually be able to assist them in their struggle. So Hyungjin warmly welcomes our boy Jae-hyun inside. Meanwhile, the little girls are totally creeped out of their minds. They have no idea who this stranger is, and their unease is written all over their faces. Their hesitation is so obvious that even Jae-hyun can sense the tension, which makes him wonder if his sudden appearance gave them too big of a shock. As he sits there, he looks around and notices how dark the place is. It's clear that this family has intentionally covered the entire apartment with curtains, which he finds to be a pretty clever move. It definitely reduces the chances of being spotted or attacked by monsters. The first thing on Jae-hyun's mind is to bring some light into the room. He focuses his thoughts on this single task, and suddenly, the room lights up. Hyungjin is left surprised to see the lights come back on, while Jae-hyun pulls out a bottle of water and tells him to just treat his children with this, as there's no time to be surprised. The man grabs the water bottles and hands them over to his girls. Both thirsty girls start gulping down the water, and each sip feels more satisfying than the last. Seoyeon, the younger girl, even chokes a little from drinking too fast. Once they're done drinking, Jae-hyun decides to treat them to something else. He pulls out a tangerine and hands one over to Seoyeon. The girl's eyes light up as she drools at the sight of the sweet, juicy fruit. But before she can dig in, her mother decides to peel it for her. After removing the peel, she feeds the tangerine to her daughter. The juicy sweetness bursts in Seoyeon's mouth, sending her neurons into absolute overdrive. Her cheeks tingle with the sensation, and she can barely hold back her excitement. Her mother asks if it's good, and Seoyeon nods, barely able to contain her joy as she responds with a simple yes. The older sister Nayeon eagerly starts asking for some tangerine too. Once she takes a bite, her reaction mirrors her little sister's, which is just pure joy as the sweetness takes over her senses. Meanwhile, Jae-hyun is bombarded with notifications from the system. It seems the trust levels of the entire family toward him have increased. Seoyeon's trust has even reached 50, unlocking her loyalty stat, which has now surpassed 30. The system informs Jae-hyun that Choi Seoyeon has fulfilled the requirements to be registered as a vassal and has even reached level 2. He reflects on this for a moment. Although she meets the requirements, she's still so young. Unlike regular citizens, he can only register up to 10 vassals, and they need to be capable of carrying out orders, at least at the level of Choi Hyungjun. Although the little girl's trust has skyrocketed, her father, Hyungjun, is still at 31. And since Hyungjun is the key person in the family, Jae-hyun knows he needs to raise his trust even more. Suddenly, Hyungjun calls out to him and thanks him sincerely for all the kindness he's shown to his family. He admits he desperately wants to repay the favor, but isn't sure how he can do that right now. In response, Jae-hyun decides they should step into the corridor for a talk. Later, once they're out in the corridor, Jae-hyun casually asks Hyungjun if he's received citizenship. Now that it's mentioned, a system window suddenly pops up in front of Hyungjun. He admits that this notification appeared for his whole family about 30 minutes ago, confirming they had received citizenship. Jae-hyun follows up by asking if anything unusual happened at that time. Hyungjun instantly agrees to this, explaining that they couldn't move their bodies for a short while when it happened. After piecing things together, Jae-hyun realizes that people must be temporarily frozen when they're granted citizenship. Seizing the moment, Jae-hyun addresses Hyungjun again, this time with a promise. He tells the man he'll do everything in his power to help him return to the life he had before this madness started. Hyungjun is absolutely bewildered by this declaration. But before he can say much, Jae-hyun doubles down, promising that he'll protect them from monsters and make sure no creature ever invades their home again. Hyungjun isn't 100% sure if this is even possible, so Jae-hyun confidently assures him that yes, it is possible. Still, Hyungjun knows it won't come for free. He directly asks what he would have to do to receive the protection. Jae-hyun doesn't beat around the bush either. He makes it clear that there's a risk involved, and Hyungjun might lose his life in the process. He then asks if he is still ready to go through with it. Hyungjun hesitates before responding. After all, who wouldn't value their own life? But since he has a family to protect, he steels up his balls and confidently declares that he's ready to do whatever it takes. He goes on to say that even before Jae-hyun showed up, he was already risking his life to go out for food and water to protect his family. Jae-hyun smiles, happy to hear this because he's finally gotten the kind of help he needs. Then, Jae-hyun remembers Hyungjun holding that golf club earlier and asks him how much it cost. Hyungjun isn't sure why our boy is asking, but he answers anyway, saying it cost him around 500,000 won, more or less. We all know why Jae-hyun was asking about the golf club, and he's bummed out after hearing the price tag. He's unsure if he should even list it in his shop right now since he can't afford to blow his money this early. Hyungjun notices his reaction and asks why he suddenly brought it up. Jaehyun quickly brushes off the question, and after shifting the topic, he asks the man if he remembers the day the monsters appeared. Of course, how could Hyungjun forget that day? It was a weekend, and it still traumatizes him whenever he thinks about it. Jaehyun acknowledges this and points out that those who stayed at home that day survived. He reflects how a single goblin doesn't possess much strength, and their levels are lower than an adult male's. The real threat from goblins comes from the fact that they always move in groups. But when you think about it, humans are the same. They have the power to form groups too. That's why he wants to focus on growing his own army. He addresses Hyungjun again, telling him that from now on, they both will be looking for other survivors. With Jaehyun's attractive proposal of supplies in exchange for looking for other survivors, Choi Hyungjun's trust has increased. Our boy is just chilling on his couch, and he's passively becoming trustier. Right now, the kids have a trust level high enough to become vassals, but their parents are a lot more wary of the neighbor. Jaehyun hopes that he can eventually see his family again if he continues to take more people in. His sullen thought was interrupted by a loud shriek downstairs. He hurriedly opened his balcony to check out what's up. In front of the building was what he needed the most. Other people. The group of young men and women are facing off against a horde of goblins. As much as he wants to, it would be hard for Jaehyun to help them in combat. The goblins snarled, and the young man at the forefront took on a flawless pitching form. As soon as that absolute heater of a fastball left his hand, a goblin fell. Its skull cracked. With one of the monsters down, the winning odds of the group just increased. Jaehyun was shocked, to say the least. Then came one of the girls and her bow, launching 2 arrows at once. One shot netted the group with another 2 kills. The remaining goblin was caught off guard as its allies fell so quickly. Then came the batter jumping in the air to bash the last enemy's head in. With sheer force and momentum, the batter vaporized that goblin in a single strike. The other goblins out of range saw their allies getting slaughtered and immediately fled for their lives. It seems like this group is exceptionally competent when it comes to monster hunting. Still on edge, one of the girls heard a loud thud coming from behind. She draws her bowstring, expecting a sneak attack from a pesky goblin. But it was just a ramen packet dropped from above. This is Jaehyun's way of attracting the group's attention. He waved at them to come in, desperate to get the group into the building. He looked like an absolute goof flailing his arms around, but he could not think of anything else that would attract their attention. Suddenly his doorbell rang. Hyungjun must have returned after receiving his quest. Outside the door, Mr. Choi stood nervously while holding a heavy box. Jaehyun welcomed him in, but as soon as Hyungjun tried to walk inside, he was barred by an invisible wall. Jaehyun's system deemed him unqualified to enter the house. He reckoned that the barrier must also apply to citizens. It could be that only registered vassals may enter his domain freely. Since that's the case, Hyungjun just handed his benefactor the box. Inside are all the things that can be used as a weapon in their home. Upon opening, Jaehyun got quite a decent haul. There were knives and a whole toolbox to possibly list at the shop. Jaehyun nonchalantly opened his store and bought 5 water bottles and 5 packets of ramen. Seeing him conjure precious supplies out of thin air nearly knocked Hyungjun on his ass out of shock. Jaehyun placed the supplies into the box and tasked his citizen to go to the first floor and leave them at the entrance. Hyungjun felt a little apprehensive about going downstairs, knowing the danger lay outside. But the young man assured him that it was fine. After observing the enemy's behavior, Jaehyun found out that goblins are only active in broad daylight. The purpose of the supplies is obvious. He wants to use it to bring those people outside over to his domain. In these trying times, the one with food and water holds power. That group will definitely look for him once they realize he has supplies. Jaehyun didn't give Mr. Choi any instructions other than to leave the box downstairs. If he doesn't have to face and fight monsters, the task should be easy. Seeing how receptive Mr. Choi was to his requests, Jaehyun felt compelled to do something nice for him. He opened the quest menu and officially listed the delivery of water and ramen as a quest, adding in a small amount of EXP as a reward upon completion. Mr. Choi was surprised by the quest prompt that popped up in front of him. He asked if the mechanics were similar to video games, and Jaehyun confirmed. Given that Mr. Choi's only at level 9, leveling up to get good rewards is imperative. The reliable dad took a deep breath and braved his way downstairs. With the power still out in most parts of the building, he had to take the stairs. He even took his golf club for protection. From the 20th floor, Big Bro had to walk all the way to the ground floor. Just going down those stairs took a toll on his dad bod. But at least all he has to do is put down the supplies. As soon as he got out, he saw the silhouette of a group flock together and instantly assumed the worst-case scenario. With his paranoia and anxiety, he immediately assumed that he was staring at a pack of vile and disgusting goblins. His first instinct was to get the hell out as fast as he could. But in his rush, Mr. Choi rolled his ankle and fell to the ground. The water bottles and the packs of ramen flew out of the box as he nosedived to the pavement. The pain of falling was real, but his fear of being noticed by the group was more gut-wrenching. He pleaded for his foot to respond and move, fearing that the group might have already noticed him. He felt their presence closing in and pathetically raised his hand to protect his head from an attack. When he heard the silhouette approaching speak human tongue, he felt a mixture of relief and embarrassment. They weren't goblins. They were just a bunch of young'uns. Upstairs, Jae-hyun received a notification that unauthorized subjects were trying to enter his domain. To check out what was happening, he opened his ultimate eyes and expanded his all-seeing vision around his territory. Unexpectedly, it seems like Mr. Choi had led the group inside the building. The group was naturally wary of the unfamiliar place. All they knew for sure was that someone threw a ramen packet from the higher floors. That must mean there's food in this building that could remedy their dwindling supplies problem. Jae-hyun's system deemed the group eligible for citizenship and prompted him to propose the idea of inviting them to be official citizens. In the process of expanding his territory, he was able to forcefully grant citizenship to the Choi family, since they were already inside his expanded area of influence. But it looks like outsiders are given a choice. If that's the case, the group might just decline his invitation. Just as he was stressing over a contingency plan, the doorbell blared. He took a look at the digital monitor and saw Mr. Choi standing outside once more. Finally thinking of a viable plan, Jae-hyun chose to edit Big Bro's quest. He gave Hyungjun a new task to treat the 6 guests to a warm meal. The edits on the quest quickly popped up in Hyungjun's face. Jae-hyun urged him to accomplish the quest as he had something in mind. Since the quest seemed innocuous enough, Mr. Choi accepted and walked over to the group. It did not take him long to convince them to go in and go with the plan. With the promise of a decent meal, they can offer citizenship to all 6 of these people. Jae-hyun also granted all of them access to his floor. Just like that, the number of his citizens had increased to 10. With the increase in population came a money and EXP boost of 10%. He wasn't expecting to get such good buffs so easily. That boost would undoubtedly be useful on monster hunts. We take those. Looking at the Citizen Management tab, he saw their names, levels, and trust points. On the lead is Ha Dong-jeon at level 23 with 19 trust points. As for Kang Dae-oksu, Kim Ga-young, Yoo Hyerin, Kim Gaeon, and Moon Byung-ho, they all hover around levels 10 to 17 with varying trust points. A level 23 metahuman is on the same level of strength as the Calican that Jae-hyun killed recently. Curious, he singled out Ha Dong-jeon and saw the awakened ability simply called Baseball Throw. It's a D-rank skill that consumes stamina to increase the power of a thrown ball by 3 times. In reality, depending on who throws the baseball, it can become a lethal weapon. But if there's a skill that multiplies its power by 3 times, it becomes an incredibly fearsome weapon. It's a perfect hunting skill to kill monsters. As for Ha Dong-jeon's trust, it can steadily be increased in various ways. For now, Jae-hyun set the EXP distribution rate for all 6 of them to 70%. With that, he just needs to give these people some monster hunting quests, and he can sit down while passively earning both EXP and cash. He could not help but feel like he was playing an auto-hunting game. But he still needs to get to know these people to gauge if they're a good fit. They could be the key to making his reunion with his family possible after all. Out of the blue, Ha Dong-jeon's trust level has increased without Jae-hyun doing anything. It wasn't only him. Even Kim Ga-young and Yoo Hyerin's trust levels have gone up too. Mr. Choi played the role of a gracious host and welcomed the group into his home. Mrs. Choi came in running, confused as to why they suddenly had so many strangers inside their house. Her husband promised to explain everything later. For now, everyone needs a decent meal. Without prior notice, it would take her a bit of time to prepare something from scratch. But they need her cooking to make Jae-hyun's plan possible. She thought for a second and locked in as she accepted the request to cook. It seems like the group of young bloods have manners, especially Ha Dong-jeon. As a de facto leader of the squad, he asked Mr. Choi for more info on the man known as Jae-hyun. Well, Mr. Choi wasn't exactly sure what Jae-hyun's deal was. He doesn't know anything about the young man other than the fact that they've been neighbors for a while now. He added that Jae-hyun is quite an intriguing person. He has the ability to restore living conditions before the apocalypse in selected areas after all. That just confirmed Dong-jeon's assessment that a metahuman is behind all these resources. He reckoned that Jae-hyun must have a broken ability to be capable of giving away precious supplies for free. Thankfully, Dong-jeon was smart enough to not get any funny ideas. He reckoned that impressing someone so powerful, no matter what, would be the best move. If they can have someone powerful enough to provide electricity, food, and water on their side, it would be a game changer. In the current world, miraculous abilities are as rare as they are powerful. Since it would take a while to prepare the meal, Mr. Choi asked if the group wanted to take a shower. The young ladies immediately perked up as soon as they heard that they could finally get cleaned up. Since the power is functional, most of the other home facilities can be used too. Mr. Choi smiled and added that they had plenty of warm water available to use. The thought of getting 3 days' worth of grime washed out of their body was heavenly enough. You add warm water to that, and the ladies were hyped. Since the Choi household has a bathroom in the living room and master bedroom, the 2 ladies can go ahead and wash up first. They looked at him like he was the Messiah, but the boys were still apprehensive. Dongjeon reckons that this enigmatic Jaehyun dude must be a metahuman with an ability far more powerful than his. When one of the guys suggested that they beat up their benefactor to see who was stronger, Dongjeon scolded his junior to stop talking nonsense. They should try to impress their benefactor if anything. He even went as far as to beg the lunatic to sit tight, don't do anything stupid, and just stay quiet. In any case, the group's goal is to secure as much food and supplies as they can. They cannot screw up a chance to do that without a fuss, so Dongjeon warned his group to be polite and always read the room. Fortunately, their boneheaded member respects Dongjeon's orders. But one of them was visibly uncomfortable for some unknown reason. Being the good leader that he is, Dongjeon approached the anxious Byung-ho and apologized for dragging him into such a mess. Dongjeon feels guilty for inviting everyone to his housewarming right when the apocalypse struck. Byung-ho tried to brush it off, but his anxious look was palpable. Dongjeon promised that as soon as they secured enough supplies, they would go to the place of Byung-ho's grandmother together. Byung-ho thanked Dongjeon for his consideration, but he knew deep inside that it was already way too late. On the 3rd day of this accursed apocalypse, the possibility of a frail old woman alone in her home still being alive is slim to none, but at least the place is nearby. Dongjeon is optimistic that they can get there as long as they all hang in there and work together. Suddenly, the group's discussion was interrupted by the door opening. The aura of the newcomer was electric. The door creaked open, and all their eyes were glued to the entrance. Dongjeon felt like they were being stalked by a fearsome predator and instinctively gripped his ball, ready to throw at any second. As it turns out, it was just Jaehyun carrying plastic bags in both hands. He overheard the group's conversation and offered to help in their predicament. Dongjeon lowers his baseball bat, his steady gaze cutting through the tension. In that moment, a silent realization washes over the group. This guy isn't just another survivor, he might actually be the real deal. The unspoken thought lingers among them. Dongjeon could be their ticket to reclaiming a semblance of normalcy in this chaotic, apocalyptic world. We see them all sitting down at a table now, with Jaehyun Hyeon apologizing, saying that it's a bit cramped in here. Dongjeon tells her that it's fine, and they are the ones who came in here without notice. Hyungjun comes back, bringing a whole tray of food. He starts setting up the rice first, and we see them all surprised to look at it. Hyewon says that she doesn't know if what they've prepared will be to their taste, but what's there not to like? This looks gas. Somebody reaches forward, grabbing one of the pieces of egg roll, and we see one of the ladies drooling out of her mouth, saying that this is a complete feast compared to what they've been used to. Hyewon tells them that it's thanks to the ingredients that Jaehyun gave her, and she would have only served rice and tangerines otherwise. Hyewon's trust has actually reached 50, and Jaehyun says that he didn't think hers would reach this high before her husband's did. They all thank her for the meal and start digging in, as every single one of them looks super happy with the meal. One of the girls says the egg roll is so good, while the musclehead is just pounding the food away. Another girl asks if this is the kind of sweet egg roll they serve at Japanese restaurants. Hyewon says it is, telling them to enjoy it. Soyeon then calls out to Hyewon, saying that she wants egg rolls as well. Hyewon pats her head, saying that she'll make them again for her after their guests are done eating. We see her eyes starting to tear up. One of the girls asks Seoyeon if she wants to eat the egg roll with her immediately. Seoyeon starts running over, jumping into her lap, saying, "Of course." We see that even the girls are having a good time. She then picks up the egg roll with her chopsticks, telling Seoyeon to eat it, as we see her happily devour it. The mood brightens even more, but that musclehead dude just keeps eating. Yoon tells Hyungjun and Hyungjun to please sit down, as there's enough food to go around. They both realize that he's right and decide to enjoy this feast too. As they all eat, Jaehyun looks down at his food, saying that it's been a while since he's had a meal like this. He recalls his mother's cooking and hopes that she is safe at the moment. After a while, the dishes are empty, and Seoyeon says that she is sleepy. Food coma is real. Hyewon tells her to go sleep then, and Naeun says that she's ready to go as well. Jaehyun says that since the children are gone, he wants to finish the conversation they had just now, asking them why they aren't able to go to Byung-ho's grandmother's house despite it being nearby. Dongjeon says that it's because of the goblins. Jaehyun asks what he means, and Dongjeon continues, saying that it seems the underground car park of the apartment is a good spot for hiding, and the goblins ended up making it their base. Jae-hyun says that does seem like a pretty good idea, and Dong-jeon says they estimate the number of goblins to be at least a few thousand. Jae-hyun notes that the ultimate shut-in ability only applies until the 30th floor, and that's why the goblins can come into the apartment building via underground. Dong says they saw that all the apartment entrances were linked to the underground, and they wouldn't dare go out. Jae-hyun asks if there are side roads. Dong-jeon tells him that their original goal was to use one of those and get out, but there was a monster that looked even more dangerous than the goblins. Jae-hyun is surprised, asking what it was, and Dong-jeon says it looked like a wolf or a bear. The only reason they were even able to escape in the first place is because the thing was going to town fighting the goblins. But once it finished, it roared and made them all run away. Jae-hyun thinks about what it could be, wondering if it is some kind of fantasy bear. Dongjin says they don't know for sure because the place was dark. Yoon tells them that they can't avoid them forever. Dongjeon agrees, but says they do have their limits. Jae-hyun asks what he means, since they can just level up. One of the women says that they use bows and throw baseballs, so they'll eventually run out of things to shoot or throw. Jae-hyun says that's not even an issue, as he can resolve that problem. Asking to look at the arrow and baseball, Dongjeon hands him both. Jae-hyun uses the market to list the items and shoves them into his inventory. Then he starts to look at the bow, deciding that he should list it as well. It's listed under the name of Good Conditioned Compound Bow. He looks down at the bow, then has an idea, asking if everybody here can use them. They don't really reply, but he decides he's going to purchase 5 sets of bows and arrows, telling them that even if they can't, they should take them and practice, as this will be their Jae-hyun form of hunting from now on. Their trust in him increases. Byung-ho is shocked, saying this is unbelievable, and that if they work with him, they definitely might be able to save his grandmother. Now his trust is skyrocketing. Dongjin says that their speed of hunting will be way faster with these. Glasses says if he can do this, they don't need to put themselves in danger to retrieve the arrows either. Yoon says that before they carry on, they need to greatly reduce the number of goblins. Dongjeon agrees, asking when he wants them to go out and hunt. Jae-hyun says they'll start tomorrow. They ask why so soon, and he tells them that the faster, the better. Dongjin agrees, but says it seems a little soon. Jae-hyun then tells them that it's going to be a 2-for-1 deal, as they're going to save Byung-ho's grandmother tomorrow as well. Byung-ho gets really excited, and Dongjeon asks how they're meant to do that. Jae-hyun smiles, saying they're going to use a bait strategy. They all kind of stare at him after he tells them this, and Dongjeon starts to think about it. While one of the women says she thinks it will work, Glasses says it will only work if things go smoothly. A status window appears, telling Jae-hyun that Hong-jun has completed his quest and was given 30,000 woni. Jae-hyun is surprised and wonders if money is all that is required. Then that means that if he has money, he can raise the level of his citizens by using it to give them rewards. Unless it's really needed, he won't have to use that for now though. We see that Hyungjun's trust has increased to the point that it's reached level 50, and he has unlocked loyalty. He has met all the requirements to be registered as a vassal, as well as his loyalty now being 62. Jae-hyun decides that it's time to do it and registers him as a vassal by putting his hand on the status window. Hyung-jun feels a chill go down his spine and says something just happened to him, as we see a faint blue aura wrap around him. A status window tells Jae-hyun that his first vassal has been successfully registered, and he has been granted the skill of Vassal Summon as a reward. That means he can summon the vassal into his house. However, he can only summon that vassal every 2 hours. I think his first ability is now awakened, which is called Strength of the Gorilla, which is C rank. It is a passive skill, meaning his strength is now comparable to a gorilla. Now that he has unlocked his first servant, the expen gold earned by his vassal will be doubled, and he can use his ultimate eyes to summon them within 5 meters of his house. Jae-hyun is still just surprised, wondering what this plus button is next to Hyung-jun's level, and he clicks on it, asking if he would like to use a 1 million won to increase his level. The amount shocks the hell out of him, and he says, "Nah." He turns, face-palming, and the rest ask if something is wrong. He says no, asking Hyung-jun how he feels. Hyung-jun says that he feels like he has a lot of strength, asking if he is the one who did this to him. Jae-hyun says yes, and Hyung-jun tells him that it feels like he has become 10 years younger. Jae-hyun smiles, saying that he would like for him to join this mission as well, handing him the bow. Since citizens are given 10% additional experience, and vassals get twice the experience, his gains are going to be nuts. Yoon tells him that he needs to kill as many things as he can, and Hyung-jun looks worried but says he will do it. Jae-hyun laughs and smiles, telling him that he will be counting on him, It jumps to the first floor as they are all starting to head out. Muscle Bro is really refusing to use a bow. He then calls out to Dongjian, asking if there is a need to check the first floor, as everything here is a complete mess. Dongjian says they should check regardless, and surely he heard what Jaehyun said, as they are here as a rescue team. This is the first mission that he has given them all, and that is to rescue survivors in the building and transport them to the 30th floor. Dongjian says the hardest thing about the mission would be luring large numbers of goblins into the apartment building and killing them. In order to do that, they have to find as many survivors as they can, he says. Surely the rest know this. Everybody looks ready, and Muscle Bro says that he understands. Dongjian says, from now on they are going to head to Unit 101 and make their way down in order, as they don't know where the goblins are going to pop out of, so stay alert. They head into both rooms 101 and 1002, as we see blood everywhere. Dongjian takes his first step in and is absolutely mortified. The rest wonder what he sees, and as soon as they do, they start to feel disgusted beyond belief, almost throwing up on the spot as there are people's corpses strewn about, and even some of them are just heads. Dongjian grits his teeth and tells the rest they should just go because there are no survivors here. But Muscle Bro in the other room is pissed that the goblins were able to ransack people like this. He heads out as well, and they reconvene with Dongjin, who says there is nothing on the first floor and they should go up quickly. They head to the next one, and yet again, they are greeted with nothing but corpses, littered throughout the hallway. They can't believe things are this bad. Deciding to keep going up in hopes of finding a survivor, they head to the 3rd floor. So far, they haven't seen any corpses and start banging on the doors, asking if anybody is inside. There is no reply, so they keep going door to door. To save time, they spread out, with each group splitting into 2 people, knocking on as many doors as they can. They regroup, and of course, nobody has found a single survivor. Dongjin starts to feel hella stressed, wondering if this is even worth it. On the 4th floor, Dongjin bangs on a door, asking if anybody is inside and saying he is part of the rescue team. The door slowly opens, and a man asks if he's really there to rescue them. Dongjian says they are, and the man begs for water, saying he is thirsty as hell. Dongjian reaches into his bag, pulls out a bottle, and tells the man to go ahead and drink it. The man is surprised there is a rescue team giving him water. Dongjian explains that they are actually fellow residents of the apartment, but are here to rescue survivors, adding that there is a safer place where they can move together. The man is surprised, then closes his door. Moments later, they hear the door unlocking as he opens it all the way, revealing other people inside with him. He apologizes for being paranoid and introduces himself as Hong Jung-soo, saying he'll count on them. Dongjian says he hopes they can get along as well. He instructs Ga-young and Hyerin, without specifying who is who, to take the group up to the 30th floor and then reconvene back here. The man is surprised they are going up instead of leaving the apartment. His son says he feels like they'll stay alive and that he had told him people would come for them. He guesses there's probably a helicopter up there. One of the women, presumably Hyerin, explains that's not it, but going up means they'll have a warm meal and a shower. The daughter gets hella excited just like the women originally did, and asks if she's serious about the shower. Hyerin confirms it's not just warm, it's hella warm. The girl immediately runs over, and she and her brother urge their father to stop hesitating and get going. He still looks nervous, asking if they're seriously this eager. A status window then appears, telling Jaehyun that he now has 40 citizens. It seems some time has passed. The exp and gold they earn have increased by 90%, which Jaehyun notes is insane. Looking at the status window, he decides to have the children and elderly stay at Hyung-jun's house while the others live in the corridor for the time being. Dongjin reports that 40 people were all they could find. Jaehyun asks if this is everyone, and Dongjin says he's pretty sure as they checked everywhere up to the 29th floor. Many hadn't left their homes from the start. Jaehyun praises him for his work, noting Hyungjun's house is nearly full and that this should be enough. He activates his ultimate eyes to survey the apartment, seeing Byung-ho forming a barricade while Hyung-jun and Glasses set up rope, possibly for traps. Meanwhile, Dongjeon and Muscle Bro carry a giant tub of water. Jaehyun concludes this is more than enough and cancels his ability. Turning to Dongjeon, Jaehyun says this is a good start, and they're moving to the second stage of the goblin hunts. Out in the hallway, Dongjeon gathers everyone and briefs them. Their goal is to drag out all the goblins hiding underground in one sweep. He explains they'll start from B1 of the parking garage, split into 2 teams, draw out the goblins on B1, and kill them together, continuing this method down to B2 and beyond. Glasses raises a concern about getting stuck and isolated while transporting corpses, potentially causing everything to fall apart. Hyerin reassures him, saying she'll kill them all herself. Dongjaeon agrees, noting they now have plenty of arrows. Glasses reluctantly puts his faith in them. Suddenly goblin screams echo from the stairs. They turn to see not one, but a group of goblins charging up. Hyerin quickly fires 2 arrows, killing 2 goblins instantly. One goblin crouches, preparing to fight, but Muscle Bro steps in with a bat, delivering a powerful swing that blows its head clean off. A definite home run. With the goblins dead, Glasses questions why Muscle Bro brought a bow if he's just going to use a bat. Muscle Bro admits he completely forgot about the bow. Hyerin points ahead, showing the goblins' corpses are disappearing. Byung-ho is surprised, asking if this is All Seo-yeon's ability. Gongjin insists they shouldn't waste time and should head straight to B1. Byung-ho smiles, thinking Jaehyun always has a solution, and his trust in him deepens. Yoon, holding a water bottle, remarks that the timing is very good as he continues monitoring the status windows. While he wasn't intending to do so, it became as if he was watching over them. We see Byung-ho's trust has now reached 50, and he has unlocked loyalty. He has now met the requirements to be registered as a vassal. Jaehyun is surprised, saying that it only actually took a few hours, and this worked out great, because the more vassals he gets, the faster their growth will be. He starts to think about it and opens Byung-ho's status window to reveal that his loyalty is 88. This shocks Jaehyun because Hyungjun was only in the high 50s, but it's not like it's really a bad thing. He smiles, saying that with that, he'll confirm registering him as a vassal. We then move to a parking garage on B1. We see Byung-ho at the back of the group, starting to get enveloped by an aura, while the rest are fighting the horde in front of them, holding them off. We see electricity flowing around him as the aura starts to dissipate. They ask what's going on because they can see it too, and they look worried. It's enough to even blind the goblins. As we see them covering their eyes, Byung-ho sends out some kind of shockwave, which pulses forward. Even all of the goblins hiding in the darkness are now screaming as they have been blinded by Byung-ho. Dongjin says he doesn't know what's going on, but they can't sit here and get sidetracked. They need to run immediately. They start running away, taking the chance while the goblins are blind. They occasionally turn back and shoot arrows to hold them off, blowing one of the goblins' foreheads off. Hyerin locks in, activating some kind of ability, dashing side to side rapidly, shooting arrows towards the oncoming horde. The goblins are a little wary of her abilities now, but it's not as if that's a problem to them because they have sheer numbers to rely on. They start running forward, and Byung-ho yells that there are too many. Dongjian says he didn't think they'd attract this many either. Muscle Bro says it's probably all of the ones from B2 as well, and they've all grouped up here. Hyerin says they need to make it to the emergency exit ASAP. They head to the door, and Jian opens it, telling them to go ahead and make their way up. We see them all running upstairs. Dongjian then slams the door, doing his best to block it. But one of the goblins sticks his arm out. Jian and Muscle Bro decide to help him, trying to push the door forcefully closed, but the goblins are still there, fighting off against it and pushing them back. They yell, saying that this is way too hard, and they need to quickly move to the first floor. We hear Hyungjun telling them all to move, which surprises them, as he's coming in with his strength of a gorilla passive skill. Bro's really got that dog inside of him, as he screams and shuts the door with just one hand holding it closed. They yell out to him, but he tells them that they need to go immediately. He is now using both hands, keeping the door shut from the horde of goblins on the other side. We see him sweating nervously, which means that they have quite a lot of power. It looks as if his skill is starting to deplete. He says that he has to make sure he holds on no matter what. Dongjian then yells down the stairs, saying that they're safe and he can come up now. Hyungjun turns and starts running up towards him, but rolls his ankle and falls over in front of the horde as the goblins make their way toward him. He yells, telling them to go on without him. Dongjian starts to panic, not knowing what to do, as somebody dashes in. It's none other than Muscle Bro, who swings his bat, hitting one of the goblins in the head, telling Hyungjun to take his hand. Even more goblins start to come out, and they grab onto Hyungjun, starting to pull him backward. But we see him disappear into a purple mist right in front of all of their eyes. Muscle Bro is confused, and the goblin horde just runs to the next target, which is him. One of the goblins leaps into the air towards him, and he hits it, knocking it backward while the rest finish it with an arrow. We finally learn that Muscle Bro is named Deoksu, which means Jian is glasses. They tell him to get up the stairs, and we see Deoksu hauling cheeks with the goblins right behind him. Gian yells, telling him to move faster. As they all have their bows ready, Dongjeon and Hyerin pull back the strings, waiting for him to get by. We see even more goblins than last time making their way through the narrow door. It's like a zombie apocalypse. The scene then jumps to outside the apartment, where we hear something getting torn apart. We see the creature that Dongjun and Jian described, ripping apart some goblins. It actually has a voice. It sounds like a woman, saying that she needs to kill and she has to do. More and more as she's consuming a goblin, she says that she's done nowhere near enough. She hears more goblins and turns, spotting the 30th floor light being on. She says that she's going to kill them all. It then jumps back up to that apartment, right outside of Jaehyun's room. Hyungjun falls through some portal into the hallway. He says that he nearly died there. He looks up, confused, only to spot Jaehyun sticking his hand out to him. Jaehyun says he continuously observed the situation through his ultimate eyes, in case something were to happen, and is glad that the vassal summon skill worked so well. We see that they actually scratched the hell out of Hyungjun's leg. Hyungjun, just as confused, asks how he got up here. Jaehyun asks if he's okay. Hyungjun says he's fine and a wound like this is something he'll recover from quickly. Yoon realizes that it's now time for him to list some medical supplies as well. He tells Hyungjun to wait as he starts to go back into his room. Jaehyun gets out a medical kit and explains that he has it because, when he was younger, he'd often get into accidents and his family was very overprepared. While reminiscing about the past, he says that medical supplies are an absolute necessity. He takes out everything he thinks is valuable and starts figuring out what to list. Since he only has 40 slots, he can't pick everything. He then has an idea and starts putting everything back into the medical kit. Bro is thinking in 4K. We see that he actually listed the entire box. He could definitely abuse this mechanic. Yoon hands the medical supplies to Hyungjun, asking him to show where he's injured. Hyungjun pulls up his leg, showing that it's all scratched up. Jaehyun says he's going to start by disinfecting it. As he wipes the wound, Hyungjun whines in pain. His trust in Jaehyun increases, as does his loyalty. Hyungjun thanks Jaehyun for helping him. Jaehyun wonders if the rest are doing okay. He puts the supplies back in the box and tells Hyungjun to rest for a while, as he has something he needs to attend to. Jaehyun closes his eyes, saying he needs to check on the lower floors. Using his ultimate eyes, he assesses the situation. Back to the others running. We see them still making their way upstairs as Hyerin occasionally fires arrows backwards at the goblins. They are right on Deoksu's heels. Glasses and Dongjun are also there. Bro is doing his best. They're buying him some time. Deoksu reaches the barricade, vaulting over it and landing on the other side. A couple of goblins jump over it as well. Byung-ho screams and uses his bow as a melee weapon, swinging it around and knocking the goblins away. He then jumps over the barricade. Dongjeon screams out to him as Byung-ho takes out all his pent-up frustration on the goblins, beating them senselessly. The rest are confused, wondering what has gotten into him, and if he was always this good at fighting, Jaehyun observes, noting that they seem to be doing well. Byung-ho is now level 30 with a loyalty of 88. His awakened ability, Teleport, is a rank. It utilizes mental strength to move between distances and can only be used where the user can see. The strength required depends on the number of people in distance. Yoon smiles, saying it was indeed a great decision to make him a vassal. Back to the fight. A goblin gets bonked over the head. Dongjeon asks Jian if he's got the extension socket ready. Jian confirms and asks if they've got the water tank ready too. The group says they do. Dongjeon calls to Byung-ho, telling him to come up the stairs immediately. Byung-ho jumps over the barricade as we hear ruffling behind it. A water tanker is lifted over the barricade and dumped down the staircase. The goblins are swept up in the water. Dongjeon yells for Jaeon to hit the switch. Jaeon clicks the button, and electricity flows through the exposed wires. The water carries the current, shocking and eliminating the goblins. They've essentially evolved the toaster in the bathtub trick. Yoon gains a ton of experience and money for these kills, earning over 300,000 won. His skill level increases, granting him a new ability. Suddenly, he feels a sharp pain and clutches his stomach as a giant purple aura expands beneath him. The aura grows, encompassing more of the building, including the parking garage. Goblins detected within the aura are marked as hostile and removed. Their heads swell and explode into red mist, counting as successful hunts. Notifications spam his status window. Not all the goblins are caught in the attack. Some start screaming, turning to see a shadow looming over them. A massive bear appears, biting a goblin on the neck and ripping its head off. The bear swipes its paw, clawing through the horde, despite their attempts to. Jump it, The bear charges forward, sending goblins flying. One manages to bite the bear, followed by others. The bear screams, its eyes reflecting resignation. On cue, Jaehyun's skill activates, and the goblins explode around the bear. The bear, surprised, begins to shrink, its body contorting. A woman's face emerges as she collapses, unconscious. Yun tightens his grip on his shirt, spotting her in the parking garage. He wonders who she is. Her name is revealed as Oh Yeonju. Her ability, We Bear, is a rank, transforming her into a beast with maximized physical and regenerative abilities. Yun notes that she's level 33 with an impressive skill. He realizes that everyone has now surpassed 50 trust with him. Loyalty has been unlocked, and they are eligible to become vassals. He closes his eyes, exiting his skill, and registers Deoksu as a vassal immediately. Deoksu, now at level 25, has unlocked the ability called Iron Knight. The user can summon a halberd in iron armor that covers his entire body. Yoon explains that the vassal's level depends on their awakened ability. He starts thinking about something, saying that Hyung-jun, who has the strength of a gorilla, C rank, is level 20, while Deoksu, who has Iron Knight, B rank, is level 25, and Byung-ho, who can teleport, A rank, is level 30. From the moment they were registered as vassals, their levels were decided based on the rank of their awakened abilities. Or maybe the ranks of the abilities are all chosen based on random skills. He says if Byung-ho gained an A rank ability in accordance with his loyalty value, then Hyung-jun, who has a higher loyalty value, should have gained a B rank ability, not C rank. Since Deoksu obtained a B rank with a loyalty value of 31, it would be nice to know what factors contribute to the appearance of higher ranking abilities. Since he can only register 10 vassals, it would be more advantageous for him to register someone who can obtain a higher ranked ability. Not knowing what might happen if he registers a metahuman as his vassal is a problem. It also tells him that they can now move freely between the stairs and the elevators. Jaehyun walks out of his room, heading to the elevator. He activates his ultimate eyes, looking down at the parking garage where Yeonju is lying. Yoon then turns, calling out to Hyung-jun, who is ready for whatever he asks. Since the elevator is open, he tells Hyung-jun that he would like him to go to the parking garage and bring the lady he finds down there back. On the stairs, we see the goblins dead on the floor, but not from the electric combo. Rather, their heads exploded. Deoksu is surprised, asking what that was just now, saying that the goblins just swarmed at them like crazy. It seems as if they were running from something. But Dongjin is surprised, saying that considering how powerful that ability was when he watched all of the goblins die in unison, he is certain now and starts to bite his lip, feeling a bit anxious. Back when he first met Hong-jun, he was telling him about Jaehyun, and how even warm water surprised them, and how it is part of Jaehyun's abilities, as well as the food that they were eating. This is all part of his ability, which is low-key insane. Also, Byung-ho had a very introverted personality, yet he still went out of his way to fight the goblins. He changed after meeting Jaehyun. His abilities are definitely to be feared because no matter what abilities he may have, it all leads to the same conclusion. In order for them to survive in this damned world, they have to be chosen by him. We see Hyung-jun run over towards Yeonju on the floor while Jaehyun is cooking something up. We get a flashback to a little kid playing with a toy car while someone is watching him from behind. The kid turns super happily, and we see it's none other than Yeonju. This is her son, and he's waving at her all excited. We see her face is surprised and then immediately filled with absolute horror as a group of goblins have appeared behind her little boy. She screams and starts running over as the goblins stretch their hands out towards him. Her eyes filled with fear and rage as her son looks back up towards her, and she screams no, only for his toy to get soaked in his blood. She jolts awake in bed and Jaehyun calls out to her, which surprises her. He stares down at her, waiting for her to reply, and she sits up in the bed holding her head. He says it's a pleasure to meet her and introduces himself as Jaehyun. She asks if he's the one who did it, and he asks what she means. She asks if he's the one who sent the heads of the goblins flying off. He then hesitates but tells her that she is correct. She starts to sweat nervously, saying that his ability is so strong since he can defeat a group of goblins in an instant. So maybe if it's him. We see her shaking with anger and regret, crying, saying it might be possible. She then tells him about her son and starts begging that he save her son, saying just one day, even if it was only one day with him, that is all she needs. She starts crying her eyes out. A status window appears and tells him that Yeonju's trust has increased greatly. She wipes away her tears, saying that she misses her son so much, and he realizes that she must have lost him to the goblins. As she continues bawling her eyes out, he wonders if there is even anything he can do. A bit later, we see him trying to do a quest. It's to kill 1,000 goblins. There is no time limit or penalty, and the reward will be her son's revival. He sweats nervously at the possibility, saying there is no way, of course. It tells him that the quest cannot be granted, and he says that he knew it wouldn't work since there is no way. He would be able to bring the dead back to life, but the status window appears, telling him that it's because he lacks the funds to provide the quest, and that he should try again after getting enough. Jaehyun is completely caught off guard by this and starts to shake, saying that means he can revive someone as long as he has money, which is just insanely up. He says that he doesn't know how much is needed for the resurrection, but it means it is possible. So, he calls out to her and she looks up, still wiping away her tears. He says that he thinks he can help her, as bringing her son back to life might be possible. We see a sense of relief hit her, and she asks if it means that he can truly do it. He says yes, but it can't be done immediately, but it is definitely possible. She tells him that she will do everything she possibly can, asking what he wants. Jaehyun explains there are two people who have awakened their abilities inside Dongjun's party, Deoksu and Byungho. If Yeonju, who is level 33, joins them, they should have a much easier time fighting against monsters. The best thing would be to make all 7 of them as vassals. He tells her that for now, she should get up, as he wants to introduce her to the rest. We see Dongjeon extending his hand out, introducing himself toward her, and she does the same back. She asks if he is the one who hunted the goblins by throwing a baseball, which catches him off guard. She says that she also knows that Hyerin uses a bow as well. They are surprised that she knows who they are. She asks if they don't recognize her, even though they have met before, and she imitates a bear growling at them. They are all confused, wondering what the hell that means. She smiles while activating her We Bear ability, and we see fur starting to wrap around her as her face transforms into that of a bear. Hyerin immediately gets the picture, as do the rest, because they thought she was a monster, and they didn't even think that it could be a person. She laughs, saying to be precise that she is a bear, and she has helped them a few times, wondering if they didn't notice. Dongjeon says that means their meeting wasn't a coincidence. She says that anybody who hates goblins are her friends. Jaehyun enters, saying that he is glad all of them know each other already, and that he has something to tell them all. They will be executing the plan to save Byungho's grandmother tomorrow morning. Now that the goblins' numbers have been cut down drastically, they should be able to save her. They still look a bit nervous, and he tells them that Hyungjun won't be participating due to his injuries. We see him sleeping in the guest room because Yeonju took the Jaehyun bed. Jaehyun tells them that Yeonju will be participating in tomorrow's mission instead of Hyungjun, and that she will be counting on them all. Jaehyun says that he'll see them tomorrow morning, and they say, okay. He then calls out to both Byungho and Deoksu, saying he wants to speak with them in the hallway for a moment. Out in the hallway, he asks if they know why he's called the two of them here. They both have no idea why. Deoksu thought that what Jaehyun wanted to mention might be related to their powers. Jaehyun smiled slyly and confirmed that Deoksu was correct. Mian revealed that they had all awakened abilities, which greatly surprised both of them. They couldn't believe what they had just heard. Jaehyun added that the ability Byungho gained was teleport, which made Byungho very happy. As for Deoksu, the ability Deoksu gained was Iron Knight. But hearing that, Deoksu was filled with questions, unsure about what his ability actually entailed. Jaehyun knew that their abilities must be figured out before departing for the mission tomorrow, so he needed to prepare for the first task. He opened the system interface and checked the quest board. The Grant Party quest appeared, titled, Demonstrate Your Awakened Ability, with a time limit of 1 hour. The reward for completing it was an increase in strength, while the penalty for failure was sleeping outside. The system asked Jaehyun whether he wanted to accept the quest. He hesitated for a moment but eventually decided that they were ready to take it on. Deoksu excitedly called out to Jaehyun, asking about something Jaehyun had mentioned before, that he was very similar to Dongjeon. Jaehyun confirmed it was true. This made Deoksu thrilled and eager to see what his new Iron Knight ability could do. Jaehyun explained that with this ability, Deoksu able to summon iron armor and a halberd. Hearing this, Deoksu was curious and said the word halberd, which caused a small blue beam of light to appear beside him. However, the attempt seemed to fail as nothing was summoned, leaving Deoksu confused and looking at Jaehyun with many questions. Meanwhile, Byung-ho started testing his teleportation ability. He succeeded on his first attempt, though only for a short distance. His face lit up with joy as he exclaimed that he had done it. He clenched his fists in triumph, declaring that with this new power, he could achieve what he had always wished for. The system displayed notifications. Moon Byung-ho's trust has increased, and Moon Byung-ho's loyalty has increased. Byung-ho approached Jaehyun, bowed respectfully, and thanked him. However, Jaehyun suddenly told him to hold on, leaving Byung-ho puzzled. Understanding Byung-ho's eagerness, Jaehyun explained that it'll be too difficult for Byung-ho to make it to his grandmother's at the moment. Byung-ho stood up straight and asked Jaehyun why. Jaehyun clarified that there's no guarantee Byung-ho will be able to control his ability well, and the teleport you just did might have been a fluke, he suggested. It would be wise to determine how far Byung-ho could teleport and any potential penalties associated with using his ability. Hearing this, Byung-ho looked a little disappointed but understood Jaehyun's reasoning. Suddenly, a sparkling light illuminated the hallway, surprising both Jaehyun and Byung-ho as they turned to look. Behind them stood a knight clad in iron armor, wielding a massive axe, proof that Deoksu had successfully summoned his equipment. Overjoyed, Deoksu celebrated. The system displayed notifications. Kang Deoksu's trust has increased, and Kang Deoksu's loyalty has increased. While Deoksu was reveling in his success, Jaehyun called Byung-ho and pointed to the building across the street, asking him to try using teleport to go over there. Byung-ho assessed the situation and agreed to give it a try. Jaehyun praised his determination, and the system displayed quest details. Use teleport to move to the rooftop of Building 113. With a time limit of 3 minutes. The reward was an increase in teleport proficiency, while the penalty for failure was sleeping outside. Deoksu cheered Byung-ho on, telling him he could do it. Byung-ho closed his eyes, focusing intensely on his teleportation skill. A determined expression appeared on his face as blue energy radiated from his body. Moments later, a flash of light erupted at his position, and Byung-ho vanished. He reappeared on the rooftop of the building across the street. Looking back at Jaehyun and Deoksu, he waved excitedly. The system notified, Moon Byung-ho has completed the quest. Jaehyun smiled in relief, but just as Byung-ho was celebrating, he collapsed from exhaustion. Jaehyun and Deoksu, alarmed, watched the scene unfold. Acting quickly, Jaehyun used his summon vassal skill, choosing Moon Byung-ho as the target. Byung-ho was immediately summoned back to Jaehyun's side, unconscious. They carried him to a bed to rest. Assessing the situation, Jaehyun concluded that Byung-ho lost consciousness, and looks like that consumed a lot of stamina. Deoksu anxiously asked if Byung-ho would be all right, and Jaehyun reassured him that it looks like he'll be all right after some rest. This probably happened because he wasn't used to the ability yet. Relieved, Deoksu sighed, but Jaehyun then asked if he wanted to exercise. Surprising Deoksu with the sudden suggestion, a grant quest appeared. Exercise while wearing armor, requiring 100 push-ups and 100 squats within 10 minutes. The reward was an increase in strength, while the penalty was sleeping outdoors. Without hesitation, Deoksu began the challenge, performing push-ups and squats despite the heavy armor. After some time, his face turned pale, and his eyes rolled back slightly, but he confirmed that he had completed the quest. The system verified, Kang Deoksu has completed the quest. Watching from the side, Jaehyun wondered if it's because Deoksu has an affinity towards sports and he has extraordinary stamina. Jaehyun noticed a new system notification. Evaluating. Curious, he pondered what the term meant. Deoksu, meanwhile, shyly asked if his quest had officially ended. Jaehyun snapped out of his thoughts, smiled, and confirmed that it had, praising Deoksu for doing a great job and telling him to rest. After activating a new system feature, the evaluation completed, and the system announced, strength of Jaehyun has increased slightly. This made Jaehyun very surprised by the announcement. He looked down at his hands and felt a surge of purple energy rising within his body. At this moment, he truly believed that his own power had increased. Most likely because his citizen's strength had grown. Jaehyun then flashed a cunning smile, realizing this development would significantly change the game. The next day, in one of Busan's alleys, outside a building, a group of young men was frantically running in fear, chased by a horde of massive goblins screaming wildly. Deoksu glanced back, laughing mockingly at the goblins, enraging them further. Suddenly, a flash of light appeared before the goblins, leaving them bewildered. Deoksu had activated his abilities, equipping armor and wielding a mace axe, radiating an overwhelming killing intent. The tide turned as Deoksu began slashing down the goblins one by one, showing no mercy. Yet the goblins' numbers remained overwhelming, and their ferocious nature made them fearless as they continued charging toward Deoxu's group. Sensing the dire situation, Deoxu felt the challenge intensify. Just then, 3 goblins charging at him were struck down with precise arrows to their heads, killing them instantly. Surprised, Deoxu turned to see who it was and realized it was Byung-ho, now recovered, holding a bow. Byung-ho told him, "Don't pay attention to the ones who got past. I'll handle them." Having another fighter on their side boosted Deoxu's confidence. He turned back to face the goblins, laughing heartily. Seeing the situation turn unfavorable, the goblins hesitated and eventually started retreating. Deoxu taunted them, calling them fools, and shouted for an attack signal. Suddenly the goblins froze in their tracks. Blocking their escape was a massive figure. Oyeonju, in her bear form. Realizing they were doomed, the goblins began trembling, tears falling as they cried out in fear. Taking advantage of the moment, Deoxu and Byung-ho launched a relentless attack from behind, taking down the goblins one by one. Deoxu shouted and signaled to Byung-ho. Surprising him, Deoxu urged, "This is the chance. Go to where your grandmother is." Byung-ho confirmed, using teleportation to escape the chaos, thanking his friends before leaving. Elsewhere, Jae-hyun was reading the system notifications. He learned that Oh Yeon-ju had completed the quest, and the system was evaluating her quest completion. While waiting for the evaluation, Jae-hyun sat casually, eating noodles. The system then announced, "Evaluation complete," revealing that 132,966 won has been deposited into the Ultimate Shut-in's wallet. Jae-hyun found this unusual and wondered why it was money, as it differed completely from the rewards he had previously received. As Jae-hyun pieced things together, he realized a few things. He got strength when Deoxu completed his quest, and Jae-hyun could confirm that the additional reward is random, and perhaps the reward increased because the quest difficulty was higher. At that moment, the system announced, "Moon Byung-ho has completed the quest and has exhausted all quest attempts for today, evaluating the quest completed by Moon Byung-ho." The evaluation completed, and Jae-hyun eagerly awaited to see Byung-ho's reward. Suddenly, the system displayed, "Jackpot was struck." This left Jae-hyun utterly shocked. His body began radiating a surge of purple energy, and no one could tell exactly what Jae-hyun had received. The video ends here. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell to receive updates on my next videos quickly and not miss any new content.